Picture this, you're at your weekly mother's group. You've got your coffee, you're finally out of the house, and the babies are all on a playmat together. They're all about the same age, maybe 7 or 8 months old. And you look over and you see another baby, a friend's baby, sitting up perfectly straight, reaching for a toy. And then you look at your own sweet baby, who is happily lying on their tummy, maybe rolling a little, but showing zero interest in sitting up. And that's when it starts. That cold, quiet little trickle of panic in your gut. It's a voice that whispers, "Is my baby behind? Why isn't he doing that? Is something wrong?" If you have ever felt that, I want you to know you are not alone. But I also want to tell you, with as much kindness and firmness as I can, that using milestones as a yardstick to compare your child to others isn't just unhelpful, it can be genuinely harmful to your peace of mind. Today, we're going to dismantle that anxiety. We're going to talk about why it's a trap, and then, most importantly, I'm going to show you the right way to think about and use developmental milestones. I'm Sarah, and I'm not a doctor or a therapist. I'm a mom on a mission to read all the parenting books, the studies, and the clinical guidelines so that you don't have to. Welcome to my little corner of evidence-based parenting, where we trade anxiety for information. So, when I say developmental milestones, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably things like crawling or walking, or maybe saying their first word. These big, obvious physical achievements. But that's only a tiny piece of the puzzle. Thinking that milestones are just about motor skills is like thinking a car is just its wheels. It completely misses the engine, the electrical system, and everything else that makes it run. True development is a full-spectrum, holistic process. It covers 5 crucial, interconnected areas. And understanding this is the first step to letting go of that comparison anxiety. We're talking about motor skills, yes, but also sensory skills, communication skills, social and emotional skills, and cognitive skills. Let's quickly break that down because the details here really matter. First, you have gross and fine motor skills. This is the one we all know. Gross motor skills are the big movements, rolling over, sitting up, crawling, and walking. Fine motor skills are the smaller, more precise movements, like picking up a pea with their thumb and forefinger, that pincer grasp, or learning to use a crayon. Second, we have sensory milestones. This is all about how your baby processes the world through their senses. Are they turning their head towards a sound? Are they tracking a colorful toy with their eyes? Do they react to different textures? This is their brain making sense of all the input it's receiving. Third is communication, and this starts long before mama or dada. It's about cooing, babbling, and making sounds back and forth with you. It's about understanding simple words like no or their own name. It's about expressing their needs and feelings, whether through a cry or later by pointing at what they want. Fourth, we have social and emotional skills. This is the foundation of human connection. It's smiling at you for the first time. It's developing stranger anxiety, which is actually a healthy sign of attachment. It's learning to wave bye-bye and engage in simple back-and-forth play. And finally, number 5 is cognitive skills. This is your baby's inner world of thinking, learning, and problem-solving. It's things like finding a toy that you've partially hidden, or exploring objects by shaking them or putting them in their mouth. It's their innate curiosity driving them to figure out how the world works. So you see, it's a rich, complex tapestry. And here is the single most important truth I want you to take away from this video. Developmental milestones are not a specific age. They are a range, a wide, generous, beautifully varied range. The classic example is walking. We have this cultural idea that babies walk at 1 year old, but that's a myth. The clinically normal range for a child to take their first independent steps is anywhere from 9 months to 18 months old. That's a 9-month window. A baby who walks at 10 months is not advanced, and a baby who walks at 17 months is not behind. They are both perfectly, wonderfully normal. That's a huge 9-month window. When did your little one start walking? Share in the comments below. Let's show everyone just how different and beautifully normal every timeline is. This brings up the obvious question. If the ranges are so wide, why is that? Why does one baby walk at 9 months and another, equally healthy baby, wait until they're a year and a half? It comes down to a combination of nature and nurture. First, let's talk about biological factors, and my favorite one is temperament. Every baby is born with a unique personality. You might have a baby who is incredibly cautious and observant. They want to watch, analyze, and feel 110% confident before they ever try something new. They might sit for longer, cruise along furniture for weeks, mastering their balance until they are absolutely certain they won't fall. On the other hand, you might have a fearless, highly curious baby who is so motivated to get to the next interesting thing that they are willing to topple over 100 times a day. One isn't better than the other. Their innate temperament simply dictates their approach to learning a new skill. Then there are environmental factors. This isn't about having the fanciest toys, it's about opportunity. Does your baby have plenty of floor time to move and explore? Or do they spend a lot of time in containers like bouncers or walkers? How much do you talk to them, sing to them, and read to them? These daily interactions are the food that nourishes their developing brain across all 5 of those areas we talked about. And there's one very important special note here for our preemie parents. If your baby was born prematurely, you absolutely must adjust their milestone timeline. You don't track from their birth date, you track from their original due date. This is called using their adjusted age. So if a baby was born 3 months early, at 6 months of age, their developmental age is only 3 months. Expecting them to be on par with a full-term 6-month-old would be completely unfair and inaccurate. Okay, let's take another deep breath together. Up to this point, almost everything I've said has been designed to lower your anxiety, to tell you not to stress, not to compare. And I mean every word of it. But now we need to make a pivot because there is a very real, very important reason to pay attention to milestones. And it has nothing to do with what the baby next door is doing. The real purpose of tracking milestones is to identify what are known as developmental red flags. So what is a red flag? A red flag is not about being a little slower than a peer. A red flag is when a child does not achieve a specific milestone by the very end of its accepted developmental window. For example, if the range for walking is 9 to 18 months, the red flag isn't at 12 or 15 months. The red flag is at 18 months. If a baby isn't walking by 18 months and 1 day, that is a signal, a flag, that tells us we need to have a conversation with a professional. And this is the part where I need you to lean in. This is why it matters so much. Because spotting a red flag early is the single most powerful thing you can do to support your child if there is an underlying issue. This is where early intervention comes in, and it is nothing short of magic. Let me give you an analogy. Think of your child's development like the plumbing in your house. Early intervention is like discovering a tiny leak. You hear a faint drip, drip, drip behind a wall. It's a small problem. You call a plumber, they open up a small section of drywall, fix the joint, and the problem is solved. It's manageable, targeted, and highly effective. But if you ignore that drip, if you wait until the carpet is soaked and the ceiling is sagging, you don't have a leak anymore. You have a flood. The repair is massive, disruptive, and far more difficult. A developmental delay is that tiny leak. When we intervene early, we are working with a brain that has incredible neuroplasticity. That's just a scientific term for the brain's ability to change and adapt. We can help that brain form new connections, strengthen pathways, and build a solid foundation for all future learning. Waiting is like letting the flood happen. It doesn't mean it can't be fixed, but the work is so much harder for you and for your child. So please hear me when I say this. You, the parent, are the expert on your child. You are the one who is there day in and day out. Your observation, your intuition is the world's best screening tool. Using milestones to watch for red flags isn't about looking for problems. It's about being a proactive, informed advocate for your child's health. And this brings us back to the heart of it all. After all this talk of ranges and red flags, I want you to look at your child. Really, look at them. Your baby is a unique story, not a statistic on a chart. Some children are sprinters, and some are marathon runners. Some will talk early and walk late. Some will be social butterflies who take their time with fine motor skills. This says absolutely nothing about how brilliant, capable, or successful they will be. Your job is not to be a referee in a race that doesn't exist. Your job is to be the loving observer of their unique journey. Celebrate the day they finally get their hand to their mouth. Cheer when they roll over for the first time, whether it's at 3 months or 5 months. Delight in their personality, their temperament, their funny little quirks. As long as they are progressing, learning, and developing within those wide, healthy ranges we've discussed, they are doing beautifully. They are exactly where they need to be. So let's wrap this up with the big idea. The purpose of milestones is not to compare your child to others. It is to empower you to be an observant parent who knows the difference between normal variation and a genuine red flag that warrants a call to your pediatrician. So if this shift in perspective was helpful, please give this video a like and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. It really does help the channel grow. And now that you know what to look for, click here for the 6-month red flags or here for the 12-month ones. Choose the one that's right for you, and I'll see you there.